that's how Ginger come up with Stik5Rods.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I assumed something with the 5.
Yeah. So the 5's a 5-fish limit, and the Stik is a local dude you got to beat, man.
Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the Hunter Fishes podcast. Very excited to have this podcast going. We've got the man behind Stik5Rods, who presents this podcast, Mr. Jim Fowler, here with us. We're going to dive a little bit into the rods, into Jim's life. I don't know a whole lot about Jim, so we'll see if he's got any top secrets that he's not supposed to tell me.
Not many, brother.
Jim, how are you doing?
Good, man. First thing, we're proud to have you aboard, man. We're excited. Stik5's excited for the opportunity, and look forward to the year upcoming and everything. I know good things are going to happen for all of us this year, so we're excited to have you aboard, buddy.
I'm tickled, man. I'm excited about it. Excited about this podcast. I was saying earlier, I've done a lot of podcasts, but I've never been the host of one, so we'll see how this all works out.
Hey, it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun deal for you.
Yes, sir. So, well, let's just jump in a little bit. So I Googled a little bit. I thought, well, I'll do a little work on Jim Fowler. Did you know you're like a zoologist?
Yes.
And then I thought, well, we'll do Jim Fowler, Arkansas. So I Googled that. Well, you're a professor and a lawyer.
I'm a little bit of everything.
So, apparently, I couldn't find a whole lot. So I'm just going to have to.
Hey, that's good. That's low key, right?
That's right. That's right.
It's a little short, funny story to talk about Jim Fowler. Mutual Omaha zoologist dude. I flew his airplane, the Falcon that we had. I flew the airplane that he flew on all over the world. Our company bought Mutual Omaha's airplane, and I ended up flying that airplane. Oh Lord, 4 or 5 years we flew it.
Really?
And you'd be surprised at the amount of people you would run into that I got related to him. That's Mutual Omaha, Jim Fowler. No, it's a different one, different dude. But anyway, it's kind of funny. It's a small world when it comes to that. But anyhow, go ahead, man.
That's what I know of you is you're a pilot.
Well, I was, yes, sir.
You're a retired pilot.
Yes, sir.
You're like to drive a really fast boat.
Well,
catch a few fish.
Calm down from the fast boats, but the fishing has become more important. Obviously, so
and then Stik5.
And Stik5, yes.
The new thing. Yeah. We'll get to that here after a while. But what about the pilot? How long did you do that?
33 years. 32 or 33, right at 33 years. So,
were you commercial pilots the whole time?
I went through college. I grew up on a farm, and my earliest memories of flying was Dad had a good friend that had a little 7AC Champ, and I've ridden tractors since I was 7 years old, raking hay, baling hay on the farm. And I'd be raking hay, and Joe would buzz over the top of us and just scare the living daylights out of you. Then land in the hayfield out in front of us. And I grew up around watching guys do that around airplanes. So, when I started, we all wanted to go to college. And so when I started college, Interstate State had the aviation program. And I started in the ROTC, and I wanted to commission into the armed forces, but I didn't want to fly a helicopter. And so my second year through ROTC, I went ahead and joined the aviation program. I got a degree in aviation and got out in the 90s, there really wasn't much work, so I started slinging bags for Lone Star Airlines out of Hot Springs. It was a little commuter airline, and worked about a year throwing bags. They finally hired me as a pilot. My first year pay was $12,100 flying an airplane full of people.
Big pay.
Big pay. And it's been a couple of years there, and got a chance to get into after I kind of skipped some stuff that went on there, but anyways, I flew every wreck and crate there was, got enough hours, slung bags to them, got hired, and then there was one of my close friends, 3 of my close friends died in an aircraft accident, and kind of quit flying for a while after that. And every time I'd look up, I'd think, man, I'm supposed to be up there. So got back to flying again and bought my first type rating for jet. Every jet requires a type specific rating, and built hours, just flying everything I could, and then just worked my way up from there and got hired by a company in Little Rock in 5, spring of 2005, and been with them until last year. I've been blessed. It's been a good career, but I tease my dad. I say bad genetics, but I was born with a heart murmur, and I avoided that as long as I could. And if I had to get that squared away, and when I did that, I ended up medically retiring. And so
wasn't quite ready to retire, but it was time.
It was time. You knew it was. I knew for the last 3 or 4 years I should have, but but when it gets to the point to where you start worrying about your safety of others
right
above your own, well then you just know when it's time. How it is. But yeah, that led me to Stik5, and that's where I am. So we both know the story of Gentry and what happened there, and I don't know. I think the good Lord has a plan for everything that happened, man. You don't always understand it. Trust me, I wish I understood it a whole lot more than I do. But things happen for a reason, and people come in your life for a reason, and that's kind of where we're at right now. So.
I'll tell you real quickly my experience. I like planes. I like flying. I think it's cool. I know nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. I've flown like 5 times commercially in my life, and then last year, I think you probably know the story. Last year, my wife went into labor, and I was in Florida at the Harris Chain for a tournament. She called me during the national anthem first morning, and she said, "I'm in labor. I'm being admitted to the hospital." I was like, "Oh no, I've got to go home." So I get on a commercial plane. I fly home. Nothing. Surprised they didn't think I was a terrorist, because they're like, "Can I help you with your bags?" I'm like, "I don't have bags. I don't have." Well, what about carry-on? I'm like, "Just get me to Little Rock. I've got to go. I have nothing. I came from a boat ramp." And I left my truck and boat down there. So I decided, we had the baby the next morning. I decided I was going to get back on a plane that afternoon and fly back and fish the last day of the tournament to try to stay in the championship. And I couldn't get a flight for like 4 days. I couldn't get a flight. And, truck and boat sitting down there, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I put a post on Facebook, and a very nice gentleman, friend of a friend, "Hey man, you take care of the fuel. I'll get you back to Florida. Got my own plane. Let's go right now." He said, "I'll fly to Searcy," which is where we were at, where I live, "and I'll pick you up at Searcy Airport, and I'll get you to Florida." I was like, cool. Well, he pulls in, and super good dude. So thankful he was able to do it. Man, that plane wasn't real big. Like, it wasn't a whole lot bigger than a crop duster. And I'm sure it was a nice plane. I know nothing about them, but I climbed in, only time I'd ever flown was commercial, and I climbed in this plane. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope we make it to Florida. And it took 2 stops and 8 hours. It was not a quick flight back, but it was very nerve wracking. But one of the coolest things I ever did when we got up, and could see. We never got so high you couldn't see.
Yeah.
Like, I had service and I was texting people the whole time, but able to see, Mississippi River when we crossed it and flew. We actually hit Destin and flew down the beach, which was really neat, at night on a Friday night. So, but just the whole thing was cool. But that is my entire experience of being in the air. So
it's a great. Now 9/11 changed everything for a lot of people around the country, around the world, and it sure changed aviation. When I was flying for Lone Star, we could just show you had an ID. You show your ID, and I could pop aboard American Airline. And one of my domiciles at the time, I was based out of Dallas. I just showed I couldn't count on my own airline to get me to work because they broke down by half the time. So Hot Springs was a maintenance base, so we got all those broke down airplanes up there, and that would come in from the system. My leg might be to Hot Springs to Dallas to Brownsville down to Chihuahua, Mexico, and then reverse it back to Hot Springs. Well, we would always pick up an airplane in Dallas that was broke or needed to be fixed, something wrong with it, need to come back to the maintenance base. So we'd carry it back to the maintenance base. Well, the next day, I might do that going on my 4-day off period. Then I'd be off 3 days. Well, then I'd need to get back to Dallas. Well, I never could count on the loan started giving me back. So I'd have to go jump American Airlines. You just crawl on board show them your ID. They'd set you in a jump seat. You'd ride down and get off, and that was the end of it.
Really?
But 9/11 changed all that, locked cockpits and all the security procedures, and it changed. Sure changed the way people travel. And then as far as the TSA, what 2 ounces of shampoo and all that crap that you go through at security.
Right.
It's like being manhandled, getting tossed in a prison cell. That's how I look at it. Matter of fact, since 9/11 started, when, if we would go somewhere, the company would fly somewhere, and we were within 12 hours of home, like a lot of times we've got the East Coast, I can rent a car and drive home if we're going to be there for a week over the holidays or something.
Right.
The boss will let us come home. I wouldn't airline. I'd rent a car and drive home. Because I despised being treated like they treated how people are treated now. And then COVID hit, and then they started overbooking all the flights. And like you're talking about, so now you can't find a flight. If you do find a flight, don't count on getting there anytime soon, because you can, if you liable to show up, have your ticket, they'll fill the airplane up, kick you off, bump you off, or delay you. It's a whole different environment now than it was 20 years ago. The way everything's changed, But love of flying is something that, you, as a lot of these guys out here know, they've invited me to ride along, and I've had people invite me to ride along, and it's something I sure miss. But I'm scared to get back in an airplane and do it again, because I'm afraid I would really, really miss it. And, at this point, I don't know if I ever have another medical, so it is what it is.
Right.
But aviation's been great. It's been a great career. It's a great thing. My daughters, one of them wanted to fly, and I discouraged her from it, and I don't know if I did the right thing or the wrong thing. So, she's strong-willed, strong-headed, and independent. So, I don't know. It's a great thing. It's been a good career. So, but now it's time to move on to bigger and better things. So
that's right. It kind of let you move into this Stik5 role, I assume.
It did. We were, when I knew in December they were going to have to do surgery, and I pretty much figured I'd lose my license. I knew that was coming. You pray about things, you worry about things a lot. I didn't know where I was going to end up or what was going to happen. And, then I had the opportunity to invest in Stik5 with Gentry. And you pray about it a lot, and I thought about it a lot. I believed in the product, and I said, hey, let's do it. And that's what, and we jumped in with all 4 feet, and then May came along, and Gentry had his heart attack, and that changed everything over again. And then it was time to really commit to it, and which we did, and we're doing great. Excited about it. Like I said, we got a lot of great things happening. You being one of them, man. I mean,
I appreciate it.
This coming year is going to be every great project takes a foundation, and through the help of you, or let me back up, through help of friends, God, family, D&T, these guys have been phenomenal in their media and the growth and things even behind the scenes that none of you guys have any idea about, that they've helped me with. And man, you can't get trying to grow a brand like we're doing with Stik. Number one, it starts with the great product, which we got.
Right.
And then it's easy to chase that dream if you really believe in the product, and it makes it easy. And these guys, without all these pieces of the puzzle that fall into place, that I had nothing to do with, without these pieces falling into place, and this wouldn't be happening. And so there's a great number of people behind the scenes, and people in the scenes. You got all my, Curtis and Hank and Sam and all these guys, these pros that have stepped out here, and these guys that are helping us expose this product and this rod to the customers and to the world. It's not one person does anything. Everybody does everything.
Right.
And it's been a great experience. And like I said, we got a great year coming up, and we're all excited about it and look forward to see what happens.
What kind of goals? I mean, you want this to be a national company, I assume. Is that your goal? You want these in every state, dealers in every state?
Yes. Anything, try to find the right word, anything good, generally don't happen fast, obviously.
Right.
But my goal is to grow a company based on a reputable, phenomenal product. I don't want a rod. I mean, everything is man-made, can break, or there can be faults. But, I want to build a rod that the guy can carry out and fish with and not have to worry about it breaking. And if for some reason, it did break, I don't have to worry about waiting 6 months or a year to get a replacement. That's not the deal. That's not Gentry's vision. That wasn't his vision for the company or for the rod. He wanted to build a premium rod at a price that, the everyday guy can afford. But he wanted to build a rod that, like I said, was premium. I mean, it's every bit a good a fishing rod as a $600-700 high end rod. It comes in at a much cheaper price point. And the guys that are picking the rod up, that are leaving these high end rods, are picking them up and saying, "Man, this really is it's a good rod." Jeffrey did a lot of work on them, did a lot of homework, but customer service, availability, the fact that it's an American made rod, something that's built right here in Arkansas, that's a big deal for me. I mean, we have, without getting into politics of China and the U.S. and which that's a whole new can of worms. But one of the matter is, it's great to have a product that's made here in America by Americans, and instead of being $3 a day labor to build a rod, we're paying, American wages to build a rod. There's people, that company that's building our rods, we're supporting by buying rods from them. We're supporting American families. We're supporting Arkansas families.
And there's pride in that.
And so, yes, there's a lot of pride in the fact that we have that as part, as part of the company. We can't offer a $59 or $79 rod. We just can't compete with $3 a day China labor. That is what it is. But in the beginning, that's not what Gentry wanted to do anyways. He wanted to build a rod that would compete with, I don't want to get into names. I'm not going to throw name brands up, but the high-end rods, and everybody knows what they are. We want to build a rod that is every bit as good as that rod, but at a price point that me or you, the normal fishing guys, can afford. As a kid, I'd buy H&H spinnerbait for 79 cents. I don't know if you remember it.
Right.
You buy a beetle spin I remember buying beetle spin for 19 cents a piece, and now I bought 5 rock crawler crankbaits the other day, $22 a piece for a crankbait.
On it.
And then like you talking about $100 or $300 for a glide bait. I mean, everything has gotten so high in price, but yeah, has it really changed? I mean, are the baits that much better than they used to be? Are the rods that much better than they used to be? Are the boats? I mean, $100,000 for a bass boat now.
I know.
I can remember 3 or 4 years ago when Ranger come out with the 521 L, and everybody's talking about, $103,000. They will never sell. Now everything's $100,000. It's crazy.
And even my short fishing career, I had my first boat in the early 2000s. It was a 99 Triton with a 225, and I think I gave like $12,000 for it. And it by no means was new, but it was a pretty nice boat. And it's crazy. But what I've always said, like Megabass jerkbait was the first expensive bait I ever bought, and I said I didn't need them. And I went to the first Toyota series I'd ever fished, and it wasn't a Toyota then. It was called like Stren or something. It's Everstart way back. But I went to Lake of the Ozarks, and everybody said, Megabass, you better have a Megabass jerkbait. Like, whatever. I'm not paying Then they were like $45 for one up there. And I was like, I'm not paying for a mega bass. My co-angler was from there, and he had a box full of mega bass, and he stomped me. And I made him. We actually had parked in the bait store parking lot, and I wouldn't let him get in his truck to leave till he went in with me and told me which mega bass to buy for the next day, and I bought like 4 of them. But in my mind, that we were fishing for whatever $30,000. What's $40 purchase on a $30,000? If it wins $30,000, or if it even makes a check and it's $3,000,
Right.
What's a $40 purchase? And the same goes for rods now. Like what? Yeah, they're $279, $280. What is that if that rod has a sensitivity or the ability to win a tournament? That $100,000 tournament, is that a local one on Lake Hamilton for $1,000? It doesn't matter. It's more than you pay for the rod either way. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I said, it is about the product, exactly what you're talking about. We talk about sensitivity. In the rods, when I've learned a lot about fishing rods. I mean, until this past year, I've been a recreational guy. I spent the last 3 years trying, chasing 100-mile-an-hour in a bass boat. Instead of Gentry gets so mad at me, instead of being out fishing, trying to locate fish, I'd be out trying to break 100-mile-an-hour in my boat. I'd be running all over the daggum lake, But so I'm learning a whole lot more about fishing and about the fishing rods industry and how a rod's built, and the sensitivity of a rod is devised through the blend that you use, the blank that you use, how you build it. And there's a fine line between, everybody wants a light rod. They want a rod that's bounced. They want a rod that's sensitive. So there's a fine line between a sensitive and a light rod. I mean, you can make it so light and so sensitive, now you give up strength, and that was one of the big things that, Jake and I talked about when he was designing these rods and built them, is we want the best we can get of all worlds, and I think we kind of got to there with around a 4-ounce fishing rod, but a lot of that's weather balanced, and you want a rod built for a specific purpose, an A-rig rod, which you've seen them. The A-rig rod, it would make a great, it's a punch rod too. It'd make a really great jig rod, heavy cover, or a big worm rod. But like I said, it's designed for an A-rig rod. So, when you're fishing a rod, it's got a little bit of tip to it, a little tip weight. So, naturally with the reel on it, the rod wants to tip forward just a little past neutral. Take that off, add about an ounce to the back of the rod. Now you've got a rod that's bounced perfect for we're just talking about jig fishing or other things. So, I've learned a lot about fishing rods and how they're designed and what they're made for. And it's hard to find. There's some rods that will meet a large criteria of applications. And then there's some rods that are designed just what they're designed for, that you can use for 2 or 3 different applications. May not be perfect for one, but will be perfect. I mean, all that will be perfect for one.
Right.
And so, we've done Gentry did a lot of work, did a great job on sensitivity, especially for me, the sensitivity of these rods are, Texas rig jig rod this summer, I spent a lot of time with it in my hand, and especially on the gray, we fish brush piles because there's no grass, so we end up fishing brush piles a lot. There's one big tree down toward the end of the lake that every Tuesday night I'd go out, I'd catch 2 or 3 fish off of it. And it was standing about 20 feet of water, and the tree standing straight up. I mean, it's a 15, 18-foot tree, big giant tree. I'd throw a worm out there over that thing, backside of the tree, bring it up. I'd hit a limb. You can tell, your worm is vertical on that limb. And I'd up and down, work it, worm up and down that limb. I could feel the grit, the dirt that was on the limb that accumulated, that the line was hanging on. And as I worked that bait up and down, that rod is so sensitive, I could actually feel the grit in the line through in the rod. It's crazy, And but at the same time, I wasn't afraid to fish the rod. Hook, 6-pounder in brush, you could turn her and get her out of brush.
Right.
So it's the sensitivity is a big deal for me, and again, I'm learning a lot about these things, man. It's been a big learning process, and I sure don't know I sure don't know a lot about it, but I'm learning. So
Well, and the big thing with rods, there's so many different brands, and you can't just buy one, and shipping's expensive to get.
Yep.
Or more expensive than buying a jig. So these shows, I think, will help you immensely. It gets them in people's hands because they can look at a jig on a website and go, I like the way that looks, I'll buy it. But the rod, they can say, well, I like the way that looks, but I don't have a clue what it feels like, so they may not buy it. So I think as we start getting them in these shows and in people's hands, they start selling.
Yep.
If Bob over here has one and 5 of his buddies see it, then they don't want to order them online.
Right. We're confident enough in the fishing rod, in the design, the bounce, the way the rod's built. I'm confident enough to give that kind of a guarantee, because I know that if a guy will buy the rod and they'll fish it,
they'll buy another.
I mean, it's just, a fishing rod, I don't want to sound wrong when I say it, but you can't do but so many things fishing rod. A fishing rod is fishing rod.
Right.
But like we talk about, I think it's the best looking rod on the market, and then we use some of the best components. I mean, we don't, it's not a Torzite ceramic titanium eyes and all that. I mean, you can get into spending, $30 or $40. Well, I've seen a one eye at $27 for one eye. And you're talking about putting 10 eyes on a rod, you're talking about $270 just worth eyes. So, I mean, we've got what we feel is the best components that serve the purpose for fishing what we do. The weight savings between a titanium eye and like a Concept O, you're talking tenths of an ounce. And it's so minimum that, you end up making a rod that it sometimes can be so expensive that only the elite is, or somebody that wants the most expensive rod want to buy it. They don't really make the rod better.
Status symbol.
That's it. Status symbol. But I forgot where I was going with this whole thing. I was going somewhere with it, and I forgot where I was going. But what did you ask me for that? I can't remember.
I don't even know.
Man, I'm telling you, my mind's crazy. But no, man, they're right, and we used all the best products we can to build the best rod we can,
Pushing it to the limits. Speaking of pushing it to the limits, talk to me about fast boats.
Oh, man. It's an addiction. It's a sick one, but it's an addiction. It's a adrenaline rush, man. Of course, I grew up, fast, I grew up building hot rods and racing cars and, obviously fast airplanes, The only thing I really have never liked is fast women, So luckily I've been married to the one right woman for almost 28 years coming up in about a week or so. So, man, I got off into, my first bass boat was a 87 laser tunnel hole. It was a 18 foot boat. Had a 150 Merc on it, and the thing would run GPS in the time. For GPS at the time looked like a bread box. But I had stolen one, or let me back. I had borrowed, temporarily relocated, a GPS of one of the airplanes we were flying and put it in the boat, and the boat ran like 83.4 or something with the 150 on it.
Oh, my.
But it was a tunnel hole, you could put your hand in your lap across the lake, it'd go. Now, you might not have kidneys when you got to the other side, but it would go straight. And, I remember that boat. And then, like I said, I was a recreational guy. I got off into, oh, Lord, everything, but a shooter. Now, I've been a long-range shooter for a long time, and I've competed in that for a long time. And I got off in that for a long time. And then I met Gentry. Then he was a fishing fanatic. And so we started fishing, and I got the bug for another boat. So I bought a 20 PHX Phoenix, brand new one. And, Lord, that's been 6 years ago, maybe 7 now. I don't know. It's been a while. And of course, I put a Yamaha on it, and it didn't go fast enough. So I flashed it and got into the 80s with it, and it ran. And it was a great boat. And wanted something faster, so I bought a Bullet. And that didn't work out like I wanted. So I got rid of the Bullet and bought a ballistic. And It was pretty fast for a 22-foot boat. I think it was 22.4 where that boat length was. It was a big boat. First one with the 300R ran in the mid-90s. Wanted to go faster, so we built the carbon fiber boat that ran 103.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Jim built me a carbon fiber boat and didn't save but 260 pounds on the boat, but it you both know, difference in empty live well and a full live well or passenger over there just makes all the difference in the world on performance of a boat. So, problem with ballistics were, at that time where everybody wanted one, and people were offering more money, a whole lot more money than had in them, so I sold it. And, when I bought my last ballistic, I had been wanting to buy a Blazer for a while. Chris, I think one of your upcoming guests, Chris and I had become friends, met him through Gentry, and Chris had been trying to get me in a Blazer, and he didn't have one big enough at the time, what I wanted. I think the 625 was the biggest boat he had, and I wanted something a little bigger. And so I ended up buying that second ballistic, and then the Blazer come out with the 650. And when they came out 650, it was the boat that I wanted. And had a guy wanted my ballistic, so I sold the ballistic and bought a new Blazer. So, and then I did something really stupid. I put a supercharger on the back of a Blazer. I supercharged that Yamaha, made a 250 horse Yamaha into a 500 horse motor.
Oh my!
And then it become a matter of the old saying, if you want to go fast, it costs. So you had to upgrade the lower units, you had to upgrade the engine mounts, you had to upgrade this, you had to upgrade that, and it was a blast, man. It was so much fun to drive. You've never been anything to accelerate like that. I do was go from 0 to 80 in, I got it on video at home. It's on YouTube channel somewhere. I think I timed it at 12.8 seconds.
Wow.
I mean, it was fast, but part of being fast, it wasn't reliable. So, it was a fun year and a half. And I had the boat, the supercharger on. I think I was able to run the boat maybe half of that time. It stayed broke down.
Didn't ever break 100?
99 mile an hour, several occasions, fast as I could get to go.
Really?
But now
just 99. Right?
Well, just 99. I know that the boat was capable of running into the triples easy, but I had power poles on the boat, and you see a lot of people talk about, oh, my boat run 100. Well, those are the same guys you pass at 75 in a tournament,
right?
So, but it takes a lot to make a boat run 100 mile an hour. And a lot of people talk about how fast their boats are. They don't understand it. It's a matter of mathematics. A 32 pitch prop, I believe it's 10% slip at 6,400 RPM is what it takes to break 100.
32 pitch prop is huge.
Just huge. I was turning a 33 and I was putting it on the limiter with this thing I had. The key to it is slip. And slip is, what slip is.
Right.
It's just the efficiency of a prop, how forward it pushes the boat forward for every time it turns around. And so, a lot of these numbers these guys are on out there, whatever. I mean, but yeah, 100 mile an hour is fast in a bass boat, but it's hard to get there. And I think the Blazer would have done it, but, I got to the point to where the ballistic, we were running it. I really pushed it. I'd get it above 2 inches above pad and get the boat right on ragged edge, and that's where people get hurt.
Right.
You blow a boat out at that speed, you're gonna get tossed. It's just gonna happen. And I've had some friends hurt pretty bad at it. And, the ballistic or the Blazer with the supercharger at 95.5. Israel, me and Easy run across a lake. He got video of me hitting a boat lake, my hands in my lap at 95.5.
Really?
The Blazer has been one of the most stable platforms I've ever run fast or fished. Is it made run 100? No. I'm Keith, but probably, Keith, he kind of looked at me sideways for several months on that deal. And then when I finally got him over on Washita this spring, we did the photo shoot, and I went over and I let Keith drove my boat. He just screamed from ear to ear the rest of the day. he was having a ball in it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Going fast is fun, but there's risk involved, and it's like everything you do. And but anyhow, it become the point where it's a liability issue for the boat. When I picked up the Stik5 part of things, it become to where this spring, even before Gentry passed, I had started fishing a lot more. and I rediscovered, I love of fishing again, and, as a kid growing up, I carried a fishing pole on the back of the boat, and we'd be moving equipment. We'd pass a canal ditch somewhere, and we did. And my dad would just get so mad at me because he'd look up and he'd be gone. I'd be in the canal ditch going with the Zepco 33 catching fish, And so my love of fishing has always been there. My mom, she loved to fish, and, every Sunday after church in the spring and the summer, especially I can remember Easter, we'd have a picnic down on the farm on one of our big ponds, and we'd fish all day, and we grew up loving it. And, as you get teenagers, you meet girls and you get other things, sports, and you get all this other stuff on your mind, and you kind of drift away from that stuff. But this spring, as I was testing prototyping these rods and started spending more time on the water instead of running up and down the water, more time fishing, I rediscovered my love of fishing, and I learned that, there's a whole lot I don't know about it.
Well, I think there is that nobody knows.
Nobody knows, but the joy of doing it, and there's nothing like, it's almost like a drug, that tap on that line, and when you set the hook and you feel that rod load up, it's an adrenaline. That adrenaline is twice of the adrenaline. Well, number one, fish can kill you, the boat can at 100. But I mean, it really is, honestly, it's like twice the adrenaline rush that you get of running a fast boat or dragging a race car or something like that. It's just it's just an adrenaline rush, man.
And especially when you get in the tournaments, and you're like, I know I need 1 5-pound bite to win this thing, and he bites and comes up, shakes, and you're like, oh my gosh. And you're shaking. It's like killing a big deer.
It is, man. And that's something that, Gentry got aggravated at me because I kind of drug him. Apparently, he used to fish a lot of tournaments years and years ago, and I kind of drug him into it because I'm my personality's way over the top. My wife calls me very abnormal because I can't just.
My wife calls me that.
Yeah, she said I can't just do something halfway. I got to go just all in when I do it, and it's with shooting or hunting or fishing or whatever it is. I tend to just go all in when I do the thing, and man, it's a rush, but no, we got into the tournament deal, and I kept on Gentry. I'm like, hey, let's compete, man, let's compete. And you're right. Now I don't compete obviously on y'all's level because I'd get laughed out back the boat somewhere, but the competition side of it adds another whole perspective to it. Because you're right, man. You go out there and you want to win. I mean, it might not be for $400 or $500 Tuesday night tournament jackpot, but you still want to win.
Oh,
it don't matter if it's $5 or $500. You just want to win.
I've told people before, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what it pays. I'm gonna spend more than it costs to win. See if I can beat you. That's all there is to it. Like if I can beat you, I'm going to try to beat you.
In that competition spirit, that's a spirit that Hunter. That I mean, obviously anybody that knows you or meets you, sees in you. I mean, you've never let anything keep you from doing what you want to do, and that's a pretty cool thing. Tell us about you. Tell us about what drives Hunter, how you got started. I mean, tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, I started. That's all I've ever known is hunting and fishing. I grew up in outdoors with actually my mom and dad both hunted and fished, and so that's all I've known. But the competitive part of it, I'm competitive in everything. I don't care what it is. I'm competitive, and I'm missing both legs below the knees, and can't compete. I actually had prosthetics and played basketball and soccer in junior high. I was terrible. I mean, I wasn't competitive at it, and I wanted to find something I was competitive at, and that's where the fishing really came in. It just, you do well, and then it's like you said, it's like a drug. The more you do well, the more you want to do well again, and it's that, winning 12 the series a couple months ago, like all I want to do now is win.
Congratulations too, buddy. Yeah.
Thank you very much. But yeah, I mean, it just makes it like all wins are special, but now I want to win at that level again, or bigger level. And it's just it's a never ending. And I love fishing so much that like And I got to the point that I feel like I'm a decent enough fisherman that I don't have to spend a week in practice, especially on a lake that I know fairly well. So the last year before I started fishing nationally was the COVID year, 2020. And I fished here in Arkansas, never left the state, fished from March to like October, didn't fish in the winter. And I fished 69 tournaments. And it's like, I mean, I wasn't in practice wasn't a thing. Like I'd leave one and next time boat in the water was another tournament. And it was a whole nother level. I was actually telling somebody on the phone the other day, it's a whole nother level of having to figure out on the spot what you got to do to catch a fish. Like there's not, well, here's what I did the last 2 days. It's like, man, I got to know now what I'm doing. It's today is the day. There's no practice. So it brought a whole new level. And that's, I get to travel and fish, but I come home what I'm going to do on a Saturday or a Tuesday night when I get home, I'm going to the tournament. I mean, I still fished like 35 at home this past year and 12 out of state and 35 at home. But
well, that's what in that spirit, that competition, that drive, that's what makes you good. It no matter what you do, and that's something I've wanted to do to the level you're doing it, but like I said, it's once you break your, I'm gonna compare it to shooting, in the F class shooting, we have a perfect score. You shoot at 200, every string counts for 200 points, and shooting at 200 is not an easy thing. And then you got 3 strings of fire you shoot every day, and that's a 600. And shooting those perfect scores, or maybe shooting 100 at skeet. Making a perfect score is something that's hard to do. But once you get there, you break a mental barrier, and then it becomes easy from that point forward. So, or I think so.
Easier anyway.
Well, it becomes easier, but it builds and instills a confidence in you that, hey, I can do this. I've done it. It happened. And it's that spirit of competition that like you talking about winning that major you won, man. You've got a lot more coming. I mean, that's the exciting part about it for me.
I hope you're right.
Well, you do. And it's once you break that mental barrier, well, then they just start falling like dominoes, So it's going to be exciting to watch you this year, see how the season unfolds for you, man.
I'm excited. That it definitely gave me confidence, that I'd never had before, and fairly confident in my abilities, and this gave me confidence I'd never known. So I'm excited about it.
But with the confidence you talk about, to get to that point comes the sacrifice of, like you talked about, you fished 69 tournaments with practice and with you're gaining, every time you're out there fishing, you're gaining knowledge. And that knowledge you apply even unconsciously to everything you do. This thing, and I can reflect to that with the shooting side of things. I lay down, I look at a wind, or I look at a mirage, and I look at the terrain. I'm like, hey, I know this mirage, this wind condition, I know where this shot's going to go, and that before you pull the trigger. And I pull the trigger and hit dead middle where it's supposed to hit. And that happened because I have seen that 100 times before, right. And my thick skull finally learned it and remembered it. And the same thing, it applies to the fishing side of things. You look at your water clarity, you look at the temperature, you look at the depth, you look at what time of year it is. I mean, you look at all these things, and it all clicks in Hunter's mind instantly. This is what I should be fishing with. That's the part I'm jealous of you guys about, that I've kind of learned. But
that's why I took on as much as I did.
Yeah.
Left Arkansas 12 times this year, because I think 10 of those times was on a lake I'd never seen, and I did it to better my career further down.
Yeah.
That, the more I can put myself on unknown water, the more I learn that I have that experience. And it's all, and like you said, it's all about sacrifice, man. It's how much, and that's why I get to go speak to like schools and stuff quite a bit. I love to tell them that. It's how bad do you want it? Because do you want it, just bad enough to show up, play on the football team, or do you want it bad enough to practice when nobody's practicing and be the starter? Because that's the difference.
That's the key.
And if you don't want it that bad, go home, because somebody else wants it worse than you do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nothing worth having comes easy. I mean, it takes sacrifice and practice and perseverance and always a little bit of good luck.
So, one thing that, kids learn growing up is, just happiness and just everything's going to be good. Is that, you think that's true? Does it take hard work to get where you need to be, or is everything just going to work out the way it should be?
Well, that's a loaded question, ain't it? You know, me and you've talked about off camera. We've discussed faith quite a bit, and faith is a big part of important part of my life. I know it's a part of your life. I mean, you turn these things over as you adult, as you come to know Christ. You turn these things over. You're supposed to turn them over and not worry and trust that God's plan. He's got it planned for you, and then hopefully, I pray every night to have enough sense to jar my head and follow that plan. So, but as far as the youth go today, man, nothing. And I said it a while ago, nothing worth having comes easy or free. And today's political environment, I'm called an extreme right wing about some people, and some people I'm called not far enough. But this participation trophy crap, and I'm calling it crap because that's what it is. Man, somebody's going to win, like you talked about a while ago. There's going to be a first, second, third, fourth, fifth place. Second sucks. I don't like it. I'm competitive. I despise second place. I hate it. That's not saying anything bad about second place, but I want to be in first place. And in order to do that, that takes hard work. It takes sacrifice. It takes perseverance. As you talked about, it takes a guy not willing to just show up at the ball game, the guy that's going to show up to practice by himself. And today society is teaching, not only the kids, is teaching adults and people, that it's to be lazy, that to expect something for nothing. I mean, nobody owes you anything in this world.
That's right.
Nothing. And, the only person that owes you anything is yourself. And that, you get out of something what you put into it, I think. And the youth today, man, I'm telling you, my daughters are 3 great kids. I'm very proud of all of them. They all work. They've all got jobs. They've all got good grades. They're something every father would be proud of. You're cutting like you will be with yours. But growing up, we were kind of poor. I mean, I lived out of a garden. I hate vegetables to this day. I mean, there's very few vegetables that I'll eat because we grew up poor, and Mom had a garden about the size of this hangar, and I got my butt beat every day because I wasn't in it doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I tended the garden. I'd ride a tractor from daylight till dark, then come home and have to go out and weed the dadgum garden. And, Mama would can, and every meal was mainly vegetables, or would slaughter a cow or a pig, but we had food. We had a family at home that didn't, non-divorced parents, I got 3 pair of jeans and a pair of tennis shoes every year before school started. And I wore a patch of jeans. About 3 weeks in, I'd tear my jeans up and I'd have patches on my jeans. Mama would just wear my tail out over that. But, I swore that, Sunday morning before church, I'd take a shower, and before I could get dressed in the summer, I'd be soaking wet, man. We'd go to church. I never will forget putting on that daggum tie on to make me wear, and it'd just be, my shirt would be stuck to me, It was hot. We had an attic fan in the house. We didn't have air conditioning. And so it's a different time. I swore that I'd have air conditioning in my house, and my kids would have better. And, and that took work. Had to go to college. I wanted my kids to have better. So I worked harder. Not that my parents didn't work hard. My granddad came up in a Great Depression and saw more than any other man I know of alive has seen changes in this world. Not that our parents didn't work harder, but we had the opportunities that they didn't, and so our job was to take advantage of those. But the point I was getting at in this was, I probably given my kids way too much because I overcompensated. Because I swore that my kids wouldn't have to do what I did, and I can't tell how many bells, hey, I haul for 2 cents a bell, or how many days I've ridden, thousands and thousands of hours I've ridden a tractor at $1 an hour, what my granddad paid me once I started getting paid finally. So, this world today, I think, has gotten backwards in a lot of things, the way they look at things, and I don't know. Like I said, this whole thing has gotten crazy and changed, and I don't know how the world got turned around as quick, as fast as it did with some of that stuff. If you earn something, you value it, you respect it, you appreciate it. And, all that participation in business is for the dogs. I mean, I don't know.
I had a local guy that fishes. I heard him say one day, because, clubs got to kicking him out because he could practice during the week and they couldn't, or they're putting off limits on tournament. And, he said, why punish me for getting my priorities straight and putting off all my, hobbies when I was younger and building a business that I can go practice every day for a tournament now because my business runs itself, and I can leave, go fishing. Why punish me for getting my ducks in a row just because somebody else doesn't and they have to go to work instead of go fish? And that's completely true.
That's a good question, and it's a great, I look at that the same way as I look at, like the Tuesday night tournaments. A lot of these clubs, if you've earned over $500, you can't fish in our tournament. Well, I think that's BS, man. I mean, I'm not a good fisherman, really. I mean, I'm decent. I mean, I can catch fish, but I want to get beat by the best. If I go out there fish, I want to get beat by Hunter Bogman or Spencer Sheffield or all you local pros. I want to fish against y'all. Because if I do win, then I know I've earned it.
That's right.
And it's crazy the way people think about things, But, a lot of the guys spend all that money on them boats and fishing and baits and all that, and they feel that it's an unfair advantage for you to fish against you guys. But, I mean, hey, what sense of pride do you have if you go out and fish your own home pond and don't let anybody else come in? You might as well be fishing by yourself.
Right.
So,
right.
That's how I see it. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but
I've been there, on both sides. I've won tournaments and thought, man, that was technically easy, but that wasn't too bad. I feel like I could do that again. And I won other tournaments. It's like, oh my gosh, how did I even get out of there? Well, you look at the names behind me. How in the world did I, pull that off? And that's the ones that you really appreciate.
That's it, and I can look at this and I have a kind of a different perspective. I talked about my shooting. In 2013, I won the National F-Class Mid-Range Championship at Camp Perry. Camp Perry is up on it's at Sandusky, Ohio, up on the shore, on the lake. It's a 104-year-old tradition, Camp Perry is, and it was a fantastic place to shoot. And I went up there and I won the national championship. But I did so in a manner that there was another really big shoot following that about a week after that. And a lot of the national top shooters in the country and the world weren't at Camp Perry. It was the second year they had shot there, and so it hadn't gotten well established. They weren't there participating. So, yeah, I won a national championship, but I don't feel like I won it because I didn't shoot against the best there was.
Right.
So it's it's easy for me to apply that toward the fishing side of things. If I fish, if I'm out there fishing and win, I'm gonna win against the best. Now, I know that's not gonna happen because I haven't put in the time, the practice, the experience to do that. And that's what it all boils down to. What you were talking about a while ago. If you want it, you got to put in the hard work to earn it.
That's it. That's exactly right.
No, it's nothing ever comes easy or free. That's the best way I know to say it. So
right.
But
what how far a shot have you ever made? Farthest shot?
On a animal?
No, target.
Oh, about 1,200 yards probably. I mean, I haven't, around here. I want to shoot. In the F class, we're shooting 1,000. We shoot long range. We shoot 800, 900, 1,000. In mid range, we shoot 300, 500, and 600 yards. So thousands and thousands of rounds between 300, mainly between 600. 600 where I feel I'm a better shooter, but between 600,000 yards, tens of thousands of rounds, So, but to shoot 1,200 or out past that is what they call extreme long range. And that's done out in New Mexico, places like that. I've never, we don't have a place around here where you can shoot that far, number one, really. And then a place you can turn loose of a large caliber bullet that you don't have to worry about getting away from you,
Right.
So I've never shot really past 1,200 yards a lot.
Well, I don't know that I've ever shot past a quarter of that.
But no, I want to do the extreme long range stuff. They shoot out to, they're making, I think now the record's like a 4.5 mile shot.
Oh, wow.
But they're shooting, 400 to 600 grain lathe turn bullets, and they may shoot at a 4x8 sheet of plywood 47 times before they hit it. So, you just, I don't know if that's just luck of the draw or, those guys are actually having to shoot in a restricted airspace because the trajectory, top trajectory of the bullet gets high enough the airplane can fly into it.
Really?
It's at that kind of mileage. It's like that. At 1,000 yards, most of the calibers we're shooting, the top trajectory is about 12 feet. So, so at 500 yards, the bullet's going to be roughly 12 feet off the ground. So,
wow.
But it's that's a deep subject and a rabbit hole. I can go down and talk about all day shooting, man. I love it. That's something that kind of like the dream of fishing, man. Once you do it, it is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Pretty neat.
So tell me a little more about the history of Stik5. How did it start?
Yeah, I'm glad you hit that, Hunter. Stik5 was started and founded by Gentry Ford, out of Bismarck, is where Gentry is from. Started about a year and a half ago. Gentry started prototyping rods, and in the first of the year, Gentry introduced Stik5. And Gentry had dreamed of building, we'd been fishing with rods. He and I have been fishing the last 5 or 6 years together. We break, you know how it is. You break a lot of rods in a boat. So there's been a lot of stuff. I don't know. I'm purposely, I'm not running, I don't want to run down anybody's product to try to make my product look better or Stik5 look better. That's not what Stik5 is. That's not the thing of our game. That's not it. But we had rods that were breaking, and Gentry, which is fine. It's a man-made item. Sometimes they're going to break, but getting them replaced, the warranty, that's an issue, and it's still an issue. A lot of these companies that are overseas because products are backed up, and you know what I'm talking about. So Gentry wanted to build a premium rod that was made here, that we could warranty here, we could replace here, and that's where the dream of Stik5 started. Stik5 was named Stik, the local Stik. This is a grassroots company. We don't want to be. Gentry didn't want to see it. Hopefully it'll grow into a giant company, but it's a grassroots company started in small town Arkansas. And the local, as you were talking about a while ago, when you fish against some guy, you don't fish against the best. Well, every lake, every place you go will have a Stik, the local Stik. And that's where Stik come from, the guy you got to beat. 5 comes from a five fish limit. So that's how Gentry come up with Stik5Rods.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So, I assume something with the 5.
Yeah. So the 5 is a 5 fish limit, and the Stik is a local dude you got to beat, man. So, or gal. So
We're going.
So that's how he came up with it. And so that's how Stik5 dream started. And then Gentry, he took to the next level. He took the next step. He went and contacted the local company out Harrison. That's a very renowned company building fishing rods, and started prototyping rods, and then designed a line of 12 casting rods and 3 spinning rods. And each rod some of them are much more application specific than others. But all the rods can be used for a lot of different applications. So he did a lot of homework and did a lot of studying and a lot of prototyping and design when he built these rods. The chatterbait rod we built is hands down the best chatterbait rod I've ever touched, and anybody that will fish it will likely tell you the same thing, no matter what rods they fish. But not only is it the hands down best chatterbait rod, it's also a phenomenal 6, 8, 10 DT or XD rod, crankbait rod. Even though we've got a jerkbait square bill rod and we've got a crank chop rod, the chatter chicken is a phenomenal rod for that. So all these rods, every fisherman has a different. Not many fishermen have the same exact perspective or take on what they're looking for in a rod. A rod is a unique tool that each fisherman uses, and each fisherman prefers it to be a certain way. So Hunter Bogman may take that chatterbait rod and decide it's a great swim bait rod instead,
Right.
So everybody has a different way. But Gentry, when he designed the rods, he spent a lot of time, asked a lot of pros. I'm not, and put these rod in these guys' hands, in a lot of these guys' hands, and they design a rod, and he would make changes. I didn't understand when you build a fishing rod, there's flagging, there's marking, the tips. I didn't understand until I got involved, what the action and the power of a rod, the tip of the rod, and then you learn how the rod's built. So, he did a really good job designing these rods. And so I want to give full, right here on this podcast, in front of God and everybody, full credit, Gentry, for designing these fishing rods, not Jim Fowler. Jim Fowler's not supposed to be sitting here. Gentry Ford is. And unfortunately, we lost a great friend and a great guy way too soon, and he never got to see this dream become reality. And that's what I'm so thankful for you and the D&T guy, the D&T media guys. I'm thankful for everybody trying to, that's helping me make this a reality. And so I wanted to make sure I gave a call out to the true founding of the company, how it got started, who started it, and the fact that we're just trying to carry it on, but that's just a quick background on Stik5Rods and how we got started and who we are.
Gentry will always be the forefront of that for all of us, I think, all four. He was all of our buddies.
Man, you knew the guy. He was a phenomenal guy. He was the best. I mean, he was a big-hearted guy and honestly, one of the best fishermen I've ever fished with. And Gentry had the talent to make it if he'd ever wanted to fish the circuit, he could have done it, because he could read the water, he could read the fish. I mean, just like I can read the wind for shooting, because of the experience. He had that experience, but he was a great guy. And he had Andy and Lindsay and Laney and Allie, the daughters. They're just all good people, and so he's missed a lot, man. You're talking about deer hunting earlier. Man, I've sat more on deer stand this year than I have a long time. And I spent a lot of time reflecting on Gentry and because I'm hunting over the same place, he hunted at. And it's been a crazy year. He's missed a lot. So
Definitely. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on. We'll get you out of here so you can go get in a deer stand maybe this afternoon.
I hope so. I'm going to try. If I got some stuff to get done, I get home, I'm going to try. So, but man, I appreciate you having me on, Hunter. We're excited about you. We look forward to this season. Man, it's going to be a great season for us.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it. Everybody watching, thank you for watching the first episode. Be sure to check out Stik5 on all their social medias, which is Facebook, Instagram, and same for me, Hunter Fishes. You can hashtag Hunter Fishes, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and it should pop up with Hunter Bogman Fishing on any of those. Check us out. Give us a follow. And This podcast will be available on all platforms. They tell me. I don't even really know what that means, but that's what I hear. So thank y'all again for watching. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Hunter. Appreciate you, buddy.
Yes, sir.